Alright, what's up, guys? Here we are on another War Journal. We are with Mr. Jim Brown. Does that make you feel old, too, if I call you Mr.?
Totally. No,
oh, okay. We're here.
Semi-official.
We're here with Jim Brown, who is lead level designer at Epic Games. Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't know a lot of your backstory, like where you're from, what games you've worked on. Tell us a little bit about that.
There's no easy way to tell that story. It's kind of long, but just as my Epic history is the most recent. I am actually in my 12th year there, and I've worked on everything that Epic has done since the original UT, essentially. I joined the team there. I joined actually in the crunch to work on UT 2003. And finish up that and Unreal Championship. So I've done UT, Unreal Championship, Gears, Bulletstorm, Infinity Blade, all pretty much everything that we've done since then. I've worked on in some capacity. So
awesome. How did you first get into the game industry? I mean, is this something you've always wanted to do?
It was kind of a weird path for me. I started out actually. I went to school and got a degree in biology.
Oh, awesome!
I was working in a biolab, and it was really cool. I was really enjoying it. But there was a lot of downtime, writing, waiting for grants, waiting for funding, that sort of thing. And it was kind of not a steady paycheck sort of thing. And so my background hobby was playing games. I'd always played games growing up, of course, like every game designer always does. And started playing more and more. And actually picked up a sponsor at one point and became a competitive gamer.
Oh, cool. What game?
But a little bit of everything. I played some UT, of course, some Elite Force, Quake, whatever was out there, whatever people tried, just whatever people were doing matches on. It was more of a homebrew type thing back then, where you pick your computer up and bring it somewhere. There wasn't really organized tournaments. A lot of it was all done online, sort of thing. But so I did that for a while, and actually ended up starting my own business, doing design work, server hosting, community management, all that kind of fun stuff.
Now, did you kind of have a mentor that you modeled yourself after or got advice from when you were first starting out?
Not really. It's funny because back then, I mean, like, everybody knew the big names. Everybody wanted to be Cliff. Everybody wanted to be Miyamoto. That sort of thing. But it was one of those things where when I started, I kind of fell into it. It's like, it's kind of even hard to imagine that people would, I still have trouble imagining that people would actually pay me to do this, because like if I wasn't doing this, this is what I'd be doing, sort of thing, on my own. So I really, for me, I never even really thought of it as this could turn into a job, as much it was just something I enjoyed doing.
Right.
And it was all about getting on the front page of Nolly City or Planet Unreal or whoever was, the popular map hosting organization at the time. And then I started getting invites to work in the mod community, work on small projects and things, and eventually got recruited to work at Sony Online. So it was quite a shock when I actually started. Even though I had been trying for a while, it was still quite a shock.
Right. So when
actually pay me to do this?
Yeah. When did you say, okay, I've made it as a level designer? Was there a moment when you do?
No, I don't think there really. Well, I mean, it depends on how humble you are, really. Like,
yeah.
Every day you learn something and you learn something from the people around you. So it's kind of hard to say. This is the moment, but
yeah.
I actually started when I was working at Sony as a game master on EverQuest.
That's a pretty hefty title, Game Master. That's a pretty awesome title.
Well, see, it's an awesome title, but it's almost like customer support. Basically.
Oh.
You're in charge of running the server, and so when something goes wrong, you have to go in there and talk to people, or when they lose their sword, or when there is a dispute between guilds, you have to kind of go in and moderate and do that sort of stuff. Make sure people's names don't have like dirty connotations and all that other fun stuff. So it was really cool actually. But I started with doing
Time to build.
a design internship with them, and so I got to help them out, write some of their quest lines, help out designing a few of the areas for their expansions and things like that. And that was kind of my foot in to the industry, and I kind of thought at that point, okay, this could turn into something. So.
All right, we're gonna get to the nitty gritty now. What everybody wants to know about, which is Gears. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this question out of the way. Is there going to be a new Gears game for the new Xbox One?
I would love to answer that question, but of course I am not allowed to say what we are or are not working on, or discuss anything that hasn't been announced publicly. So, as much as I would love to answer that question, I can't. I can only tell you what we've officially stated.
Yes. Okay, so do you ever think... Now, Anya, she's my favorite character. So, do you ever think that we will see a female Gear as a lead character?
I don't see why it's not possible, really. I mean, we've always said that... I was actually just looking... So I was looking... We have like a Gears story Bible of sorts. And I was looking through it today, and one of the main things in there, Marcus or Dom will always be the central focus characters. But then we didn't do that in Judgment. So,
right.
Like, so anything's possible in that regard. And even before we had playable female characters in a lead, or even, kind of a major supporting role, like Anya or Sam or whatever, they were always really important to the universe. Anya's mom was one of the major influences on the history, and Anya herself played a big role in the story and how it played out. Sam, Bernie, there was a lot of kind of really strong characters. Even originally, when we first started planning the game, Min was actually a female character.
Really?
So one of the core characters in the original story was meant to be female.
And die.
Just that part wasn't part of the story at that point.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think that there's absolutely anything could happen in that regard, right? Like, I don't think there's anything saying no, we can't or wouldn't or shouldn't do that.
Right. So with the kind of, I wouldn't say controversy, but is it kind of disheartening to see that there's more of a population on Gears of War 3 than the newest Gears of War Judgment?
I wouldn't say it's disheartening. Actually, I'm glad that people have found the game that they want and have something to go back to, right? Like, if I would be more upset if people had given up on Gears and just disappeared. That would be disheartening. But the fact that we have a very, very passionate user base, that they still have a game that they can play, it's their go-to, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like you said, controversy surrounding Judgment, and a lot of things I think we did right, and a lot of things we didn't do right for various reasons. But this is Gears 3. It's still my favorite in the franchise, so I'm glad that other people agree.
So if there is a new Gears, wink wink, will the fact that there's more of a population on Gears 3, will that hold more weight on the new if there is a new Gears? I mean, will the I guess kind of the mechanics and stuff from Gears 3 be used instead of what's in Gears Judgment, or will it kind of be a mishmash of both?
I would say anything we do moving forward is going to be lessons learned, right? So it's going to be taking the best out of whatever it is that has been successful and learning from the mistakes of what hasn't.
So what is your opinion? Why do you think that the community didn't respond well to Gears of War Judgment?
Ooh, a big, complicated question.
Yeah.
I think that to a large degree, we didn't listen when we should have. And quite honestly, I think that there was a lot of good in Judgment that would have been well accepted had we not done it all at once. I think there was a lot of change that happened probably too quickly for a lot of people. And it's one of those things that they always say, you never surpass someone's expectations without first betraying them. So you kind of have to make changes. You have to go out on a limb and be willing to do things. And it was a good chance for us to try some new ideas. And some of them worked and some of them didn't. And I think that, like I said, a lot more of there was a better chance that some of them would have been accepted had we not done too many sweeping changes all at once.
So what improvements?
Even something as simple as keeping the locust in, I think, would have made a huge difference in the way that played out. And there were also a lot of kind of weird production issues with Judgments. That are pretty well documented now, just in terms of time and budget and changes that we made early on that we probably shouldn't have, but decided to stick to and ran with.
What changes or improvements to the new Gears multiplayer do you think will take place if there is a new installment?
See, now you're trying to get me to say things.
Oh, sorry, no, I didn't mean to. But I mean, if there were to be, in your perfect Gears game, what improvements would you like to see in the multiplayer?
Right. So it's. I seriously regret pulling the locust out. I think that was a big issue in a lot of ways with the franchise. I kind of stepped away from a lot of the core things that I liked. I still understand why we did it. But it's one of those things, like, in hindsight I can say I told you so, but I can also understand why there was a push to do it in the first place. So that's a hard call, but in a perfect world for me, that would be one of the first things I would do, put the locust back in and make them, embrace them as a core part of the franchise, because I think they really, really are. And then, second, I think that one of the things that we learned, a big lesson that we learned, is really listening to the community and giving them what they want as opposed to what we think they want. And we pulled people in and had them play Judgment. And I think we heard what they said, but we didn't necessarily listen. If that makes any sense.
I was one of those people. You didn't listen to me, Jim. Whoa. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just going to point out I was not there for that. So that's a tricky game, right? Like people sometimes say one thing, mean another, sort of thing, or don't realize what they're really asking for, sort of thing. But also in that regard, I think there was a lot of good things that happened in Judgment that we would keep, right? Like I think that was our most balanced set of weapons by far. Control changes and improvements, just the smoothness and the freedom to run off ledges and things like that, I think was a vast improvement to the way the game felt.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, behind you.
Oh my god!
I got you.
So there is a rumor that Epic is actually creating another shooter that is not Gears related. Is this true?
Right now we are very, very hard at work on Fortnite.
Which is a PC, will be a PC game, right?
Well
It has not been announced what it is going to be.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we are doing alpha testing right now, and that is happening on PC.
Okay, awesome. Because I just say that because for you guys that don't know, there was a panel at DragonCon last year where they kind of showed off some stuff from Fortnite, and most of it they said was done on PC. So that's just why I assume that. But it looked like a really fun game.
We're taking a very different approach there. I mean, we've got several different people playing it every weekend, and the number of people playing is growing every weekend, and every time we do release a new build for people to test. So we're doing a very, very community focused view of this time around, and trying to build and respond to the community as we do it, as opposed to doing it later on in a patch sort of thing. Get it right from the beginning.
Right.
We'll see what happens with it. So far, it's going really well.
Awesome. So are you working on that as well?
Off and on, yes.
Okay.
I've actually taken on a very different role in the company now, and moved over to what's called our user experience team. So basically taking a senior design position on, like, for the company essentially, so I'm not tied to any one project.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So,
is that better for you than just
really
sticking
cool.
one thing? I mean, is that less?
It's nice because I spent a lot of time talking with the community. I spent a lot of time working on just tools in the editor and things like that. Writing and multiplayer design and level design and weapon design and creature design and doing all those different things. And it's also kind of been a really good chance for me to try some new things that I wasn't as familiar with. So it's been cool.
So you're like the epic Swiss Army knife, basically.
I'm trying to be, yeah. That's actually a really good way to put it. I mean, the UX team is cool. We've got a cognitive scientist on there. We've got like a consumer insights person and a couple senior design types. We just kind of play with the new toys, try and come up with new ideas for all the different projects, and help them out wherever they need help, really, to help make the games better. And so far, it's been really cool.
Awesome. Okay, so just some miscellaneous stuff, kind of about the back end of being a part of a game studio. So, is it harder to build off new IP, or to develop new IPs, or build off an existing series like Gears of War?
I think that it depends on the series, but they both have kind of very unique challenges. Building Gears 2 and 3 was difficult in the sense that Judgment's a really good example of that. I mean, there was huge expectations out there because people had in their mind what their perfect version of the game and what they wanted to see and what they expected to see. So it is hard to make a game that could meet everyone's expectations, plus add a bunch of new stuff, plus innovate, plus so that like you have to keep adding and building, and they have a tendency to get out of control. Gears 3 was so much bigger than Gears 1.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to find that balance sometimes. But with a new IP, you can sometimes get away with.
Oh no!
Ooh, I'm down.
I got you.
You can get away with a lot more because people don't know what to expect. So you have a little bit more freedom to try new things. But at the same time, if you're working with a publisher or somebody, they don't know what to expect either. So you never, they won't be as willing to throw marketing budget into it or throw support behind it. Maybe they do. So they're each very, very unique challenges, but both can work for you and against you, I think.
Right. So, Now we hear a lot on social networks. I know you guys get a lot of flack. I mean, you guys have super duper patience for people giving you maybe critiques or just giving you crap all the time. So do you think, as far as developing a game, do social networks hinder or help out the development of a game?
I think they help out in a huge way, actually. Especially doing what we're doing. It's so focused on the consumer and happy. And like I said, more than anything, it's not just putting up with them, right? Like you said, it's more about listening to them and actually figuring out, okay, this person isn't happy. Why? Not just they're complaining, but figuring out what it is that's actually upsetting them. And oftentimes it's not what they think, or it's not what they're saying. But if you really listen to it, you can figure out what it is. Fix it. And having come from that side of things, where I was actively on the other side of the fence, playing games as much as I was, more than I was making them at one point. So I understand a lot of what people are saying and identify with them. I think some guys just want to be left alone and work at their computer and get their work done. But
right.
I enjoy the interaction and getting out there and talking to people and figuring out what it is they want. Because it's kind of a unique position to be able to give them that when only two left.
Had to happen.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Sorry it was such a long time in the coming to actually make this happen.
No worries, totally worth it. Don't mind at all. Well, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it, and I know everyone's going to be spamming the YouTube with more questions. Okay, I'm gonna pick you up. Hang on, I'm gonna end with you, end a kill, maybe a chainsaw or something.
Oh, and of course now the fog rolls in.
Yeah. This guy. Yeah, sawed off.
There you go. Point man.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the War Journal with Jim Brown. Be sure to check back again at the beginning of next week. I will have some more extras for you from the interview. And you can click the box right there and check out the interview with Fatal Strike. The link is also in the description if you want to check that out if you're on a mobile phone. Thank you guys again so much for watching and for embracing the series. And gamers and gearheads, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.